Good morning, hello and welcome. This is All You Need to Know. I am Agam Vakil. Let's start off by taking a look at the global markets at this point in time. As you can see, we're seeing mixed cues come through, but largely and mostly we are seeing a little bit of red seeping in, especially when it comes to the American indices. As you can see, about cuts, and that's actually seeped into the European markets as well, though we have mixed cues coming in, considering we have the CAC and the DAX marginally in the green. Asian markets similarly also marginally in the green, the red, however, for the Hang Seng, which is down by as much as 1%. Let's take a look at the SGX Nifty and the kind of reflection it has at this point in time, indicating a decline around 50 odd points, 47.5 to be precise. When it comes to our own markets last Friday, we did see an advance of around 0.5% for the benchmark indices, with the broader markets outperforming the likes of the Nifty and the Sensex. The Nifty banking indices, on the other hand, however, underperforming to a certain extent. In fact, the Nifty PSU banking index declined by around, nearly 0.9%. Two indices which stood out in trade. First one was the auto index, up 2.2%, metal index advancing by nearly 2%. And with that, when it comes to the areas, we do have some amount of strength coming through in Tata Motors, Dr. Reddy's and ICICI Bank. But if you leave these three stocks aside, we've seen marginal moves for the rest of the counters, for example, something like a Wipro or Infosys or HDFC Bank. Let's take a look at your foreign institutional flows, and that was once again very tepid, just 38 crores on a net basis, and on a net basis DII is just short of the 1,000 crore mark by on a net basis. And once again, we really haven't seen too much of a change in that trend over the previous few weeks. When it comes to contributions, however, Reliance Industries, ICICI Bank and M&M along with Bharti Airtel were providing that strength in the indices. On the other hand, HDFC, Yes Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank bearing down on the indices. When it comes to the futures and options space, we have seen a little more accumulation towards the Nifty futures. On the other hand, the Nifty banking futures has seen absolutely no change whatsoever. Marginal moves for both the underlying as well as the open interest. Based on maximum open interest in option, which is with the 11,500 put and the 11,800 call, that's the 300-point range that we are keeping an eye on this point in time, considering the max OI. When it comes to changes in OI last Friday, it was essentially the 11,500 and the 11,600 options which were the most active last Friday. Now, the India VIX, of course, has edged up higher to around 1.24, nearing the 14 mark. Once it goes above the 14 mark, that's where we see a substantial expansion in a lot of your option premiums. But the Nifty put call ratio is at around 1.49. That's edged up slightly higher, and the Nifty banking put call ratio also at around 1.08. Now, when it comes to some of these stocks that we're watching out for, we have Nestle India with fresh longs, and we've also seen fresh longs in the likes of Godfrey Phillips, which advanced by around 4%. On the losing end, however, we've seen weakness in Adani Enterprises. That's declined by around 3.9%. There are shorts there, and we're also seeing shorts in, Yes Bank, which also declined by around 4.7%. So a lot of stocks out there to watch out for, and of course, as well as the benchmark indices. But now let's go across to Kathleen Hayes for the top international headlines.
Former UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has launched what many see as a new bid for power, calling Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit strategy, quote, a humiliation. Writing in the right-wing Mail on Sunday, he rejected May's plan to keep the UK close to EU trade rules after the separation next March. Johnson wrote that May's proposal would leave Britain having to accept EU rules without having any say on making them. Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Löfven says the general election has produced no clear winner, and he'll stay on leader until Parliament has a chance to decide. An SVT poll gave the Social Democrat coalition 39.4% support, fractionally less than the alliance opposition. The populist Sweden Democrats polled about 19%, making them the likely kingmaker after an election dominated by immigration. North Korea celebrated 70 years of existence with a toned-down military parade that observers say shows a willingness to revive stalled talks with the United States. The parade passed through Pyongyang without any sign of intercontinental ballistic missiles that have been given pride of place in previous years. President Trump claimed credit for the change, calling it, quote, a very positive statement from North Korea. Alibaba boss Jack Ma is expected to step away on Monday from the company he helped launch to focus on his first loves, philanthropy and education. He told Bloomberg last week he's looking at a change of life, and several sources say he will make the announcement today, which happens to be his 54th birthday. He's been pulling back from Alibaba for some time, having given up the CEO role in 2013.
I think someday, and very soon, I will go back to teach. Just go back to education. This is something I have more confidence. I think I can do much better than be the Alibaba CEO.
Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Kathleen Hayes. This is Bloomberg.
Jack Ma has prepared for this for a very long time, in his own words, 10 years. It will be a gradual transition. 12 months from now, he will step down as chairman, passing on the torch to CEO Daniel Zhang. Already, Jack Ma has taken a step back from the daily activities. He will stay on board until 2020 and remain as a lifetime partner of the company. Now, a lot of this has the key emphasis is Jack Ma wants to turn Alibaba from a company that is run by individuals to a company that instead based on organizational structure. So sustainability is the key word here. Daniel Zhang is definitely a dark horse here, because originally it wasn't him who succeeded Jack Ma as CEO in 2013. It was Jonathan Liu. And then later he came out of, you know, as this rising star at the company, who really was able to execute all the visions that Jack Ma had for the new developments in the company. For example, the new retail business that Alibaba is now making inroads into, and a lot of the new initiatives, such as the smart grocery stores, that is all Daniel Zhang's doing. So I think Daniel is really taking the company to the next level.
We expect a robust global oil demand growth, about 1.4 million barrels per day this year, and next year a similar level of oil demand growth. And this strong growth, coupled with some supply side worries, concerns we have, we may well see further tightening of the global oil markets towards the end of this year, such as what's happening in Venezuela today. Venezuelan production in 2 years of time is halved, from about 2.5 million barrels per day, just 1.2. And we expect it can further decline, and this is definitely bad news. The concerns, worries in the Middle East, questions about Iran exports. Libya is still fragile. Nigeria is still fragile. Looking at all of them, the entire picture, I would say it wouldn't surprise me if we see further tightening of the markets towards the end of this year, and putting still additional pressure on the prices, which in turn is a bad news for the emerging markets, as most of them are oil importing nations.
Stock of the day is Thyrocare Technology on back of that buyback offer made by the company. The company is planning to buy back around 8.63 lakh shares at a price of around 730 per share, which means it's at a premium of at least 14% from the previous market price that we saw around that 641 level on a Friday. The 66 crore buyback offers constitutes of overall 15% of the total equity of the company. Technically, the company is a debt-free company and has a cash of around more than 92 crores, so shouldn't be a difficult task in that case. Why the buyback will be returning the surplus cash to the shareholders, apart from that improving the return on equity and increasing the long-term shareholders value. Well, we can look at the shareholding pattern right now, with the promoter stake currently standing at around that 64% kind of a level, and public shareholding standing at around 36% as per the June BSE shareholding pattern. Look at the shareholding, or look at the financials of the company. It's not been a pretty picture that way. 5-year sales CAGR stands around less than 20%. PAT CAGR is more close to 11% kind of a level, and return on equity for the span of 5 years was around the 20% level. A little bit about the company. It's an operator of diagnostic laboratories. It's a debt-free company, as I just mentioned, and the dividend payout for this company stands at a healthy 80%.
Well, amongst the stocks to watch in trade today, most definitely is going to be Axis Bank and HDFC Standard Life. The RBI has given an approval for appointment of Amitabh Chaudhry as the new MD and CEO at Axis Bank. He has been appointed for a period of 3 years, starting from 1st of Jan 2019. Do remember that the current MD and CEO Shikhar Sharma's term ends on 31st December 2018, and based on this RBI's approval, Amitabh Chaudhry has resigned from HDFC Standard Life. In fact, overall, what the impact could possibly be on Axis Bank is that it will remove a big overhang, as there is more clarity with respect to the next incoming CEO. Nevertheless, the shares have already run up about 17–18% in the last month or so on the back of speculations that Amitabh Chaudhry might join. Nevertheless, we could see some positive reaction today. Set to be slightly negative for HDFC Standard Life until they bring in Amitabh Chaudhry's replacement. So watch out for those two names, as also for Tata Motors. Now, the total retail sales for JLR in the month of August are down by 4.9%. So even as Jaguar sales rose by 7.7%, Land Rover sale dipped by nearly 10% in the month of August. That apart, we are also watching out for Soral Infra Resources. Now, the company will raise 550 crores to expand its businesses, and for which they have, out of the 550 crores, 440 crores will be infused by the promoter, and 110 crores will come from a non-promoter entity. For which they have issued convertible warrants at a price of 550 per share. That's a sizable discount to the company's closing price on Friday, so watch out for this one. As also for RITES Limited, now they have won a contract worth nearly 295 crores, not a very big one for the company. Nevertheless, we could see some positive movement there. And finally, Info Edge is another stock that we're tracking, and that is on the back of a Times of India report which says that China's C-Trip could, is in talks to put about $100 million in Zomato, valuing the food delivery app at $1.8 to $2 billion. It's Info Edge which holds a sizable stake in Zomato, so that's another stock to watch out for.
Well, on a Saturday evening, the SEBI-appointed Khan panel gave out some recommendations on how to ease the lives for the NRI fund managers, for the person of Indian origin, and for the overseas citizens of India. Now, if you talk about the key concerns for these fund managers and for these investors of Indian origin, was that they could have been restricted from investing into the Indian market via the foreign portfolio investor route. Now, the Khan panel has specifically considered those concerns and have recommended certain steps that could ease the life for these investors. Now, if you talk about the kind of key recommendations that that the Khan panel has given out, is firstly in the terms of an NRI and person of Indian origin, resident Indian, as well as the overseas citizen of India, they are by and large exempt from the restrictions of the 10th April circular. NRI fund manager can also be a beneficial owner, as well as can be in the control of a foreign fund. Now, the reason why specifically the Khan panel has considered these relaxations is because of the fact that the prevention of money laundering norms that apply for the beneficial owners only in the terms of the KYC, and not to have some restrictions on them as a foreign portfolio investor. So now the Khan panel has invited comments from the market till the 17th of September. So we can expect by the 18th of September, when the SEBI board meets, these recommendations will finally lead to an amendment to the 10th April contentious circular. But one important aspect that the Khan panel has not touched upon, or maybe just made a passing reference, is about the high-risk jurisdiction. Now, high-risk jurisdiction was an important aspect because it could have left to certain countries such as Mauritius away from investing into the Indian market, or maybe have a higher threshold of KYC norms. Now, because this was pretty much a list of 5 custodians getting together and identifying 25 countries, that could have become the high-risk jurisdiction. So now that is what the Khan panel has said, is that the government of India and the market regulator should come together and develop a more evolved process of identifying the high-risk jurisdiction. So that is one space that we will have to watch out for, that how the market regulator is able to evolve a process for identifying of the high-risk jurisdiction.
IL&FS is facing a special audit from the Reserve Bank of India after SIDBI complained that the company had not repaid about 250 crore worth of intercorporate deposits that had been placed with it by SIDBI. Now, SIDBI's contention is that since August 27th, the company has been defaulting on repayments of intercorporate deposits, and SIDBI has asked IL&FS to submit a resolution plan in which it clarifies as to how IL&FS plans to repay SIDBI this amount of money. In turn, IL&FS itself is depending on some kind of fund infusion from SBI and LIC, who are both large investors in IL&FS. They have requested some 3,000 crore worth of loans from both these companies. And once that money comes in, they will be able to repay SIDBI. However, in the interim, the Reserve Bank of India has opened up IL&FS's books to try and find out where the money has gone and how exactly the company let her default on its deposits. Meanwhile, ICRA, a rating agency, has already downgraded the IL&FS paper by several notches over the weekend, and it is now rated at junk rating.
The answer to the petroleum thing is very simple. The central government raised the petroleum prices 9 times at a time when crude oil prices are falling. Now, do you believe in market-based activity? You obviously don't. If the crude oil falls, your price should have fallen. If you did not cut the price, at least you should have developed a reserve. Did you do? You didn't. Now, I'll give you the data. In 2014, 1/4/2014, the petroleum excise duty rate was approximately 9.20 rupees, 9 rupees 20 paise. What is it today? In 11/10/2017, it's 19.48 rupees, almost 20 rupees. Diesel, it's the same story. 3.46 means 3.5 rupees. Excise duty of the central government jumps to 15.33. So central government has been following continuous increase in their central excise even when crude prices are falling. What has the states done? They have not moved up their VAT and sales tax throughout this period. They don't buy crude. They are not responsible for crude connectivity with petroleum prices. They have not moved up because of the interests of the people. So if centre has raised its petrol and diesel cess excise duty this much, 9 times, when crude prices in the world has been falling and they didn't build a buffer, nothing.
My question
that means this is a bumbling government.
My question specifically is the solution within the GST Council to bring fuel in the ambit of the GST? The
decision of the GST Council was that fuel is, petroleum and diesel is a part of GST. But in the wisdom of the GST Council, they said, when GST stabilizes, we can have a meeting and see whether in operational terms we want to include it or not. So I would rather not prejudge a GST Council meeting where all my ministers are present.
ये तो मेरे ख्याल अकलमंदी की बात है, ये कोई बेवकूफ़ी की बात नहीं है कि मैं कॉशियस हूँ। कॉशियस इसलिए होना चाहिए क्योंकि अगर अगले चुनाव में उतरूँगा तो कौन कह सकता, मैं नहीं कह सकता कि मैं जीतूँगा या नहीं। देखिए, हर जीत और हार में बड़े कॉम्प्लेक्स फैक्टर होते हैं, कई पहलू होते हैं, और मैं कोई क्रिस्टल गेज नहीं कर सकता कि मुझे सब पहलू मालूम है। तो ये कॉशियस होना मेरे ख्याल अक्लमंदी की बात है। लेकिन जो अरिथमेटिक हिंदुस्तान का है इस समय, वो बताता है कि मोदी जी का आना वापस बहुत मुश्किल है। मैं क्यों कह रहा हूँ? एक तो मोदी जी के जो एलाइज हैं लगभग कई छोड़ के चले गए। अब मोदी जी आंध्रा में नहीं, तेलंगाना, मैं बीजेपी की बात कर रहा हूँ, तेलंगाना में नहीं, तमिलनाडु में नहीं, केरला में नहीं, पश्चिम बंगाल में थोड़ा बहुत कम, उड़ीसा में थोड़ा बहुत कम, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में हैं, अब आ गए, और कर्नाटका में। तो मिलाकर इनको ज़्यादा सीटें वहाँ मिलने ही नहीं वाली, लगभग आधी लोकसभा तो यही है। बाकी राजस्थान में इनको सब की सब सीटें मिलेंगी। राजस्थान का आप हाल देख लीजिए, आज के दिन वहाँ प्रदेश का चुनाव होने वाला है। मध्य प्रदेश को उनको सारी सीटें मिली थी, गुजरात में लगभग सारी सीटें मिली थी, तो उतनी तो उनको आने नहीं वाली। हरियाणा में भी लगभग सब सीटें मिली थी, तो इनकी यहाँ संख्या बहुत कम होने वाली है। तो मिल मिला के अरिथमेटिक बनता नहीं है।
मैं इसको फ्लिप कर देता हूँ। इनको पता है कि और नए एलाइज चाहिए, तो नीतीश कुमार अनथिंकेबल था, लेकर के आ गए। शिवसेना के बारे में आप 100% गारंटी नहीं दे सकते कि वो साथ में चुनाव नहीं लड़ेगी।
किसी को गारंटी,
अग्रीड। दूसरा, नवीन पटनायक जो इक्वी डिस्टेंस मेंटेन कर रहे थे, केसीआर जो इक्वी डिस्टेंस मेंटेन कर रहे थे, ये दो अब करीब करीब अलाइंड हो गए हैं बीजेपी के साथ।
मुझे नहीं मालूम कि आप कैसे इस नतीजे पे पहुंचे हो। जहां तक केसीआर का सवाल है, वो तो नहीं चाहता कि एंटी इनकम्बेंसी मोदी की उनके ऊपर प्रभाव डाले।
सॉरी, यहाँ पर काउंटर आर्गुमेंट ये है कि केसीआर मोदी जी के साथ अलाइंड हो गए। इसका सबूत इसी बात में है कि 8 महीने पहले विधानसभा भंग कर दी और एमपी राजस्थान के साथ चुनाव करा लेंगे।
तो अच्छी बात है ना, एमपी राजस्थान में तो हारने वाले हैं ये।
लेकिन केसीआर
तो
ऐसा, केसीआर
की पॉलिटिक्स ये नहीं है कि बीजेपी का। देखिए, केसीआर अगर लोकसभा के साथ चुनाव लगा था और लोकसभा में अगर इनकी सीटें बहुत कम होने वाली थी, तो केसीआर को भी नुकसान होता, केसीआर को भी नुकसान होता। साथ साथ में लोकसभा में और प्रदेश के इलेक्शन में बीजेपी अपने कैंडिडेट्स खड़े करती। अब ये तो नहीं कि इनका समझौता है कि बीजेपी कैंडिडेट नहीं खड़ी करेगी, उनका तो कुछ वजूद ही नहीं।
अजम्पशन गलत हो सकते हैं, लेकिन केसीआर इतना बड़ा रिस्क 8 महीने पहले डिसॉल्व करें, ये किसी बड़े डिजाइन के बगैर तो हो नहीं सकता।
ऐसे रिस्क तो वाजपेयी जी ने भी लिया था। कौन सा बड़ा डिजाइन था उनका और क्या हालत हुई फिर उसके बाद। तो ये कहना बड़ा मुश्किल है। आप भी इसमें क्रिस्टल गेजिंग मत करो। कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है। और जहाँ तक उड़ीसा का भी सवाल है, कोई सवाल ही नहीं उठता।
All right, several stories to look at before trade actually starts today, and you'll find all of that on the website bloombergquint.com. Here are just a couple of them. While economists see the immediate impact of trade tension as limited, former People's Bank of China Governor Zhao Shaochuan warned that the effect on economic confidence may be larger. Trade data for August released on Saturday, in fact, showed that China's trade surplus with the US rose to a record as exporters front-loaded orders before any additional tariffs on Chinese goods could take effect. The TRAI has imposed penalties on major telecom operators, including Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel and the merged entity of Vodafone and Idea Cellular, for slipping on various service quality benchmarks for the March quarter. That's a PTI report. And India may impose anti-dumping duty of up to $185.5 per ton for 5 years on certain varieties of Chinese steel, with a view to guard domestic players from cheap imports of the commodity. Well, that was all you need to know going into trade today. For everything else over the course of the day, do stay tuned. Up next, in fact, is Indian Open. This is Bloomberg Quint.